Ia for exposing my sister's lies at her wedding, which led to our parents disowning her. So, my sister's wedding was a few days ago, and I wasn't there. Not because I didn't want to be, but because I was banned. And now, everything has exploded in a way none of us expected. To give some background, 27M have always had a strained relationship with my older sister Emily, 29F. She's the golden child, the princess of the family, and my parents have spent most of our lives bending over backward for her. Meanwhile, I was the scapegoat, the one who had to fend for himself. But things took a real turn when she met her now husband Ryan, 32M. Ryan's family is extremely conservative, like pray the gay away conservative. They're that family. And unfortunately for me, I'm not exactly their ideal guest. I'm openly gay, and I have a fiancé, Ben, 28M. Emily had always been supportive of me, or so I thought. She was the one who cheered me on when I came out. She was the one who told me she'd fight for me if anyone ever treated me differently. But apparently, when it came to impressing her new in-laws, all of that went out the window. She initially invited me to the wedding, but then a week before, she dropped a bombshell. I need you to come alone. You can't bring Ben. I was stunned. She tried to sugarcoat it, saying it wasn't her decision, but rather, Ryan's family didn't believe in my lifestyle, and that having me there with Ben would cause unnecessary drama. I asked her if she even tried to stand up for me. She just sighed and said, "Look, I don't agree with it either, but I just want my wedding to go smoothly." I told her straight up that if Ben wasn't welcome, then neither was I. She just shrugged and said, "I hope you'll reconsider." I didn't. The wedding day came, and Ben and I just stayed home, enjoying our night together. I assumed everything was fine, until my phone started blowing up. My parents, my aunts, even some cousins were all asking where the hell I was. Turns out, Emily had told everyone that I chose not to come because I was too busy and didn't care enough to be there for her. She flat out lied. I didn't hesitate. I texted my mom back with the truth. I told her exactly what Emily had said and how she had banned me from bringing Ben. Well, apparently that text was like dropping a match into a room full of fireworks. I wasn't there to witness the chaos, but here's what I pieced together from the many, many texts and calls I got after. My mom lost her mind. She confronted Emily during the wedding party and demanded to know why she lied. My dad, who is usually quiet, went nuclear and told Emily he was ashamed of her. Other guests overheard, and suddenly the reception turned into a battlefield, with my family yelling at Emily while Ryan's family tried to defend her. My aunt apparently screamed at Ryan's mother, calling her a bigoted hag. My cousin took the microphone from the DJ and started ranting about fake family loyalty. Emily, in her freaking wedding dress, was crying and begging everyone to calm down. The wedding party was completely ruined. Then, the ultimate bomb dropped. My parents have always had a large inheritance set aside for both of us. But after seeing Emily lie and throw me under the bus, they told her she was getting nothing. They flat out said, "If you can't stand up for your brother, don't expect us to stand up for you." Emily lost it. She stormed out, Ryan ran after her, and the party ended in complete disaster. And guess who showed up at my doorstep that night? Yep, Emily. She was sobbing. She screamed at me that I ruined her wedding, that I should have just kept my mouth shut, and that now her new in-laws hate her because she's related to a troublemaker. I just stood there, completely shocked. Then I told her the truth. You ruined your own wedding the moment you put bigots before your own brother. She called me an asshole and left. Now, she's blocked me, and our parents are refusing to speak to her unless she apologizes. Ryan's family is blaming me for causing division, and some relatives are saying I should have just let it go. So, AITAH for exposing her lies? Because honestly, I don't feel bad. Edit. Wow, this blew up. To answer some questions. 1, yes, my parents are serious about cutting her off. She called my mom yesterday, begging her to reconsider, and my mom told her, "Family comes first. You made your choice." 2, my fiancé Ben has been amazing throughout all this. He was ready to let it go, but he supports me 100%. 3, Ryan's family is now pressuring Emily to cut ties with our family because they think we're toxic. Honestly, she's getting what she asked for. Would love to hear what y'all think. Did I go too far, or was this just Karma doing its thing? Things took a wild turn. I did not think I'd be giving you all an update, but things got really heated for me and my boyfriend. I thought things would calm down after my last post, but oh, was I wrong? If anything, things escalated to a whole new level of insanity. Ryan's family found my social media accounts. I have no idea how they managed to track me down. Maybe Emily told them my username, maybe someone in their family is a hardcore internet stalker. But within days of the wedding disaster, I started getting flooded with messages. At first, I thought they were just trolls. You know, the usual God hates you, you're an abomination, blah blah blah. But then I realized these weren't just random internet strangers. They were Ryan's actual family members. His mother, his father, aunts, uncles, cousins. I swear it felt like his entire bloodline had formed a holy crusade against me. I woke up every morning to a new wave of messages. You are living in sin. Turn to Christ before it's too late. Hell is real, and you will burn if you don't repent. Your lifestyle is disgusting. You will never know real love. You corrupted your sister, and now you're trying to destroy her marriage. And of course, they loved spamming Bible verses. My Instagram DMs were just a never-ending scroll of scriptures about sin, repentance, and the wrath of God. But that wasn't even the worst part. They found my home address. I don't know how, I don't even want to think about how, but suddenly I started getting visitors. At first, it was just letters. Handwritten notes slipped under my door, left in my mailbox, taped to my car. Letters telling me to renounce my sins and accept Jesus. Then, the evangelists started showing up. Random people knocking on my door at 7 a.m., holding Bibles, asking if they could pray for me and guide me back to the kingdom of God. One man even showed up with a bottle of holy water and tried to sprinkle it on me. I slammed the door in his face. My boyfriend, Ben, was freaking out. He wanted to call the police, but I told him it wouldn't do anything. It's not illegal to send letters or knock on someone's door. They weren't threatening me yet, just harassing me in the name of God. We started feeling trapped in our own home. Every time the doorbell rang, my stomach twisted with anxiety. We stopped answering. We blocked every unknown number that tried to call us. We even considered moving. But in the midst of all this, something else happened. I found support from you all. After my last post blew up, the comments became my lifeline. Every morning, I'd wake up, open Reddit, and just read. Hundreds, thousands of people telling me I wasn't alone. People who had been through the same thing. People who told me I was valid, loved, and strong. I don't think I can even put into words how much that meant to me. Knowing that I wasn't crazy, knowing that I wasn't overreacting, knowing that I had people in my corner, even if I'd never met them in real life. It gave me the strength to keep going, to stand my ground. And then there was Emily. She was still radio silent after everything blew up. No apology, no texts, no calls, just silence. At some point, she tried going back home to see our parents. I wasn't there, but my mom told me what happened. They wouldn't let her inside. Apparently, she stood outside the house for over an hour, knocking, calling their names, begging them to talk to her. But my parents refused. She left in tears. And then yesterday, she showed up at my house. I hesitated before letting her in. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, tell her to go back to the people she chose over me. But she's still my sister. I still love her. She walked inside and just sat there. She didn't speak, didn't look at me, just sat on my couch, staring at the floor. And I realized she looked hollow. She looked alone. For the first time, I saw in her the same feeling I had when she turned her back on me. I sat across from her, waiting. After what felt like forever, she finally spoke. "Can you talk to Mom and Dad?" I frowned. Why would I do that? She shifted in her seat, wringing her hands together. "Because they won't listen to me, but they might listen to you." I scoffed. "They're mad at you for what you did to me, and you want me to fix it?" She sighed. "I didn't mean for things to go this way." "No?" I snapped. "Then why did you lie? Why did you throw me under the bus just to please those bigots?" Her face twisted with frustration. "You just don't get it." "No, Emily, I do. You wanted to impress your new in-laws, and I was just collateral damage. You didn't care about me until it all blew up in your face." She clenched her jaw, looking angrier by the second. You think this is easy for me? I lost my parents. I lost half my family. You lost them because of your choices. She stared at me, and for a second, I thought she was going to break down, but instead, she let out a bitter laugh. You know what? Maybe you were always the favorite. Maybe I was stupid to think they'd ever choose me. That was the last thing she said before standing up and storming toward the door. And then, slam. She slammed the door so hard that the hinges cracked. The wood splintered near the frame. I just sat there, staring at the broken door, listening to the sound of her car screeching down the street. I don't know if I'll ever see her again. I don't know if she'll ever apologize. But at this point, I don't know if I even want her to. Ben and I are okay. We're looking into security cameras and considering moving. As for Emily, I guess she's officially made her choice. And so have I. Hi, Reddit. Here I am again. A lot of you have been asking if my sister has since apologized. Well, it's been 3 months now, and I'm finally ready to give you all an update. So here goes. Emily, my sister, has been struggling in her marriage for a while now. Things aren't looking the way she expected them to, and as much as she tried to convince herself that everything would be okay, she started to realize she couldn't keep pretending. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Maybe the honeymoon period was over, and she was just adjusting to married life. But the more she talked about it, the more I realized how suffocating her situation had become. You see, Emily's husband and his parents, they were practically attached at the hip. The first few weeks after the wedding were fine, right? Newlyweds and all that. But after that, Emily started feeling like she couldn't breathe. She thought things would settle, that after the wedding, her husband would finally ask his parents to give them some space, to go back to their own house. But instead, things only got worse. There had been talks about selling the house they just bought and moving into a bigger place. But it wasn't for Emily's benefit. No, it was because the parents were still very involved in every little detail of their lives. They woke up at the same time every morning, sat at the breakfast table together, and had their meals as a family. They didn't have a moment to themselves. Emily felt like a stranger in her own home. And the worst part? The constant talk about me, my sexuality, my lifestyle. The disdain they expressed for people like me was just overwhelming. It was every single meal, every single conversation, from breakfast to lunch to supper. All they talked about was how disgusting my relationship was, how I was living in sin, and how my entire existence was a curse on the family. Imagine sitting at the dinner table, trying to enjoy a meal with your husband, and hearing his parents tear apart your own sibling. Hearing them talk about your brother like he's the devil for daring to love someone. The shame. The humiliation. Emily had hoped that it would stop. She begged her husband to do something about it, but he just kept brushing it off, saying things like, I can't upset my parents, or it's just the way they are. Every time, she hoped he'd stand up for her, but he never did. After a while, Emily couldn't take it anymore. Every morning, she'd wake up to the same routine, the same judgmental stares, the same hateful words. And it wasn't just about me. They started judging her, too, for marrying someone like him, someone who wouldn't even stand up for her against his own family. She became just as trapped as I was, but in a different way. But then this morning, she showed up at my door. At first, I didn't believe it. I thought maybe she just wanted to guilt-trip me again, or try to explain away everything. But no, this time her face was different. It wasn't angry, it wasn't defensive. It was a mix of exhaustion and sincerity. She was serious. Emily told me she had already started the divorce process. She had contacted a lawyer, and it was happening. She was leaving him. She was done with the suffocating environment. She had tried for months to make it work, but she couldn't anymore. I was shocked, but I let her in. She came inside, and for the first time in months, it felt like we were siblings again. We sat down on the couch, and for the first time, we talked about everything. Not just the wedding, not just the hurt, but about our childhood. We talked about when we were kids, about our high school crushes, about the time we got in trouble for sneaking out to see a movie. We laughed, we cried. It felt like the bond we once had was starting to stitch itself back together. It was raw and real, and I felt something in my heart starting to heal. But then, at the end of the conversation, she gave me something I wasn't expecting. The most heartfelt apology I think I've ever heard. She told me how sorry she was for everything. For the way she abandoned me. For choosing her husband's family over me. For the way she had acted when I needed her the most. She said she could never forgive herself for what she had done, and she promised that she would never hurt me like that again. I could see in her eyes that she meant every word. The apology wasn't just words. It was the realization that she had spent months, maybe years, living with regret. But more importantly, it was growth. She had recognized how wrong she was, how much she had hurt me, and how much I had always been there for her. She was ready to fix it. She was ready to make things right. And I forgave her. It wasn't easy, but I knew deep down that she was my sister. She had always been good to me. How could I forget all those years we spent growing up together when we were inseparable? Family doesn't stop being family just because things got messy. As I hugged her goodbye, she promised she'd keep me updated on the divorce. She's going through with it, and while I know it'll be painful for her, I also know it's the right decision. And there's more. Ben and I have good news. After everything that's happened, after all the drama, all the pain, we finally set a wedding date. We're getting married in 2 weeks. I'm honestly overwhelmed with emotions. I'm so grateful that Emily and I were able to work things out. That after all the fighting, all the hurt, we found a way back to each other. I never thought I'd be able to forgive her, but seeing her so broken, so honest, it reminded me of the sister I once knew. And now she's going to be at my wedding. She's going to stand by my side. Not just as my sister, but as someone who understands what it means to fight for the people you love. I'm so glad that I can look forward to this new chapter in my life with my sister by my side. And Ben too, of course. We've been through so much, but now we're finally going to celebrate. Thank you all for the support. It's been life-changing. And for those of you who've been following along, who've been rooting for me and my relationship with Emily to heal, you were right. Things do get better. I'm so ready for this next chapter.